Hi, everyone. We're going to wait a few extra minutes just to make sure everybody has logged on. So just hold tight.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This is Angie Adams. I'm Director of Business Relations with the Better Business Bureau. So welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Attendees today at this webinar are comprised of business owners and leaders throughout Western Virginia. We are very proud to serve your business, especially during times like these. We hope that today's webinar will provide some useful information that will help you navigate this new legislation concerning COVID-19. One more thing before we get started. On Tuesday, April 16th at 11 a.m., we will be having another webinar titled Cybersecurity and Working Remotely During COVID-19. Then on Thursday, we're going to be talking to Ben Higgins of Friendship Retirement, and he's going to talk to us on caring for elderly loved ones during COVID-19. So we encourage you to register to attend these webinars. If you're unable to attend any of them, we will also make these recordings available to you. So let's get started. I'm now going to turn this over to Sarah Lutz, who is the BBB Community Outreach Coordinator. Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Like she said, my name is Sarah, and I am the Community Outreach and Event Specialist for BBB. And I want to remind everyone to keep their microphones muted during the webinar so we can provide the best webinar experience possible. If you have any questions during the webinar, on the top right side of your panel, there should be a questions dropdown. And you can type in your questions there and send them to us. All questions will be answered. We're trying to be answered at the end of the webinar. So if you do put any questions in there during it, we'll get back to it at the end of the webinar. And lastly, this recording will be posted, and we will make sure that the slide deck is posted as well. And we'll send that out in an email so you guys can go back and rewatch it, and so that way you don't have to take any screenshots now. And I'm going to introduce Amanda Forrester. She is the director of the Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center, and she's gonna take over from here.
Awesome, thank you so much. I am going to share my screen here. And I'm here today to talk to you guys very specifically about the two relief options that are most popular right now and most beneficial for small businesses. If you're new to the Small Business Development Center, we offer pro bono advising, one-on-one confidential sessions to talk about anything that you're going through in your business and at every point in your journey, from planning a business to expanding a business to even exiting a business. And today our role is as a partner of the SBA to start working on disaster mitigation. And so, of course, we're starting that now with the opportunities that are available to you, but into the next couple of years, this will be our main focus. We also do training and offer free tools for your business success. We know that you all as business owners are great at what you do, and what we offer is to be able to come in on the back end with the business knowledge to help you. All of our advisors own or have owned businesses, so we can share those experiences with you as well. But let's get started with today's information. Again, we are a partner of the SBA and really work with them, especially in times of disaster as now. And so I want to talk about two main loan programs that are available for small businesses. And I've captured here, if you go to the SBA website, which is sba.gov, you're going to see something very similar to this with the type of options that they offer. And while there are two other options than what we're going to talk about today, those really are most applicable if you already have a small business loan through the SBA. So we're not going to talk about those today. That's a much smaller population. But I do want to talk today about the Paycheck Protection Program that was part of the CARES Act, as well as the economic injury disaster loans that were announced a few weeks ago. And we're going to start with those because they are the simplest, and want to make sure that you get into that stream of application if it's something that you're interested in. So these are called economic injury disaster loans, and they are direct through the SBA. You might also hear them referred to as EIDLs, and it's just how people are pronouncing the EIDL. So you may hear it, said or seen a variety of different ways. And we've noted it here as EIDL. That's the most common that you'll see. Again, these are direct through the SBA. You do not go through a bank to do these loans. They're directly from the SBA, and they're meant to provide relief for you to use towards expenses during the duration of the impact of COVID-19. I want to first talk about what businesses are eligible to apply. And really, it's any small business that fits within SBA's standard of small business. And if we talk about generalities, it's really if you have under 500 employees, you are most likely going to be considered a small business. If you are concerned about that or you're not sure where you stand, there is a size chart on the SBA site. It's sba.gov/size, where you can take a look at your industry and see where you compare. We'd also be glad to help you with that. But in most instances, and what we find, if you have under 500 employees, you're going to fall in this category, as well as small agricultural cooperatives and aquaculture businesses. The other folks who are eligible to apply for this are self-employed individuals and 1099 independent contractors. This is incredibly important and really historic for the SBA. So we're so excited that they've opened up that opportunity for our self-employed folks and 1099 contractors. The other group that is eligible are private nonprofit organizations, regardless of size, including religious organizations. This is a change that has happened in the last couple of weeks, and we are excited for those nonprofits. If you're unsure of whether you're a public or a private nonprofit, your accountant or someone who filed the nonprofit will most likely know because you are filed as one or the other. Most public nonprofits take public funds and hand them out for charity, and private nonprofits, might not do that. They might take money in, but they're offering services as just an example. I do want to be very transparent that the Small Business Development Center typically doesn't work with nonprofits. So we're learning along with you, and we'd be glad to help find answers to the questions that you have if you're a nonprofit. And we've learned a lot over the last few weeks. Let's talk about who's ineligible, just to be really clear. And it's philanthropic or educational foundations that rely on donations to carry out their programs. So for an example, the Small Business Development Center is not eligible for this program, as well as anyone who represents gambling concerns. So what is the criteria to get approved for this loan? As with any loan and with the SBA, they are looking for three things. One is your credit history. You have to have a credit history that's acceptable to the SBA. And we recommend having a credit score of 600 or better. Although we do know that these loans have been given and people have been accepted with a credit score much lower. Know that what they're really looking for there is, have you made payments on time, particularly with loans and credit cards and that type of thing, because it rolls into the next requirement, which is, can you repay the loan? And so they're looking at that history to see, do you show good history in repaying borrowed money? They also want to make sure that you can afford to pay the loan. So they will be looking at your past revenues, not current revenues, past revenues, to ensure that you'd be able to make the payment on the loan. And then with eligibility, this is the good news here. All small businesses are eligible because we are all in the disaster zone, and it's a unique situation where the entire United States has been declared. All states have been declared now. Virginia was declared 2.5 weeks ago, so everyone here would be able to apply. And how much can you borrow? I also want to be really clear with you that, as I know you know already, these are changing rapidly based on demand, as well as systems are put into place to better handle the load. So I'm going to tell you the information that I best know as of this moment. And we know that borrowers can qualify for loan amounts of up to $2 million. I do have word that that may have been adjusted to a much lower amount, but I don't have final word from the SBA on that. In most part, there's going to be money available for what you need. The really lovely thing about these loans, and this just happened as well in the last 2 weeks, added to the loan is an upfront loan advance that is forgiven in its entirety. They're offering up to $10,000 for this. And the way that we understand the calculation is that you would be eligible for $1,000 per full-time employee. And I want to make that really clear that this portion of the loan is forgiven and should be advanced to you prior to going through the loan process and being approved for the loan. If you're offered a loan, the interest rates are 3.75% for small businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits. This again is incredible for a commercial term loan. As you might know, a lot of commercial loans fluctuate with the market, and so this is a locked in rate that you'll have. And the term for these loans is up to 30 years. And most of the term will be 30 years unless you want to negotiate that down. But what that does is make your payment super affordable, which is really exciting. And the other thing that's going to be very helpful to businesses that apply for this loan is your first payment won't be due until 12 months after the loan is issued. You can start to repay the loan before then, but you'll have the option to defer that payment. Interest will start accruing at the start of the loan, as with any loan or credit that you have, but you can delay your first payment. So what are these for? We talked earlier about they're really to use for your expenses that you can't pay right now. And so they are considered working capital loans, and they're used to pay your fixed debts that you have, so payments on loans and credit, your payroll, accounts payable, and other bills like utilities perhaps that you would typically pay but are unable to because you don't have revenue coming in, or you're completely closed or have reduced revenue. These really are meant to help you stay afloat. They're not meant to help you grow or expand your business. And so that's really key to understand here. This isn't necessarily an opportunity, to take money in and expand your business. It's really to keep you afloat right now during this time. So the collateral requirements. If you're unfamiliar with SBA loans, most SBA loans are collateralized. And one of the things that they've done with this economic injury disaster loan is to allow you to borrow up to $25,000 with no collateral. If you borrow more than $25,000, the latter part of that would require collateral. The SBA likes to take real estate when it's available, and they'll take any placement on it. It could be a home, it could be a commercial property, it could be anything that you might have that they could take a place on. If real estate is not available, they will work with you to determine a pledge for whatever you might have that could be available. It could be equipment, it could be receivables that are coming in. It could be a lot of different things. And we do know that they're not declining loans specifically for not having collateral. So it's something that you can work through with the loan officer. So let's just talk about a couple of key things for these before we move on to the next type of loan. These funds come directly from the US Treasury. And I know the news has covered this a lot, and I just want to be really clear that when you take out this loan directly from the SBA, the money is coming from the US Treasury and not passing through a bank, which is going to be different for our next loan. It doesn't impact you in any way other than you're just able to go straight to the source. Applicants don't go to a bank to apply. And I have the website address here if you want to take this down. I also know it'll be made available to you after this, and we have it on our website that I'll share here in a moment. But it's covid19relief.sba.gov. That is going to take you directly to the application. If you want to learn more about the loans on the SBA site, you just need to go to the SBA site to do that. But this link will take you directly to the application. Super quick, easy application to fill out. It is just the first pass. You will be required to submit more documents later, but it's a very quick, easy thing to do right off the bat. There's no cost to apply for the loan, and there's no obligation to take the loan if you're offered one. So if they come back and offer you a loan and you realize that, hey, I have resources elsewhere or I don't need the loan, you can decline it. The loan advance that you received up front can be kept. So you don't have to turn that in if you're not offered a loan or you decline a loan. Again, the maximum unsecured loan amount is $25,000. If you have an existing SBA disaster loan, which is rare in our area, although we did have flooding and drought both in the past 2 years where people do have disaster loans in this area, you still qualify for another disaster loan. That's rare, but for these, they've lifted that restriction and you can apply for this EIDL loan. The loans would not be consolidated, they would be separate, but you are eligible to apply. Here is the SBA's Customer Service Center number. Because these loans go directly through the SBA, your bank is not going to be able to answer questions about them. And if you have questions that we can't answer, or you're in the process and need an update, or you start working with a loan officer, the phone number that you're going to want to keep handy is 1-800-659-2955. Their email address is there as well. I do know that your best bet is calling. Although the wait times may be very long, it is your best bet of getting an answer the same day. Email is going to take much longer. So make sure you take note of that phone number for the SBA. I want to mention here that we are partners of the SBA, and our job is really to educate, to help people with loan applications, and to help them navigate the recovery process. We do not have access to their lending systems. We don't have updates on loans. We can't confirm applications. So once your application is submitted and you need an update on it, that's something we're not able to provide, but the SBA can. And this is the number you would need to be able to call. You do want to apply as soon as possible. I know that you've heard that with all of these loans. There's no need to be fearful or anxious about it. It's just, this is a very simple process, and I wouldn't wait to apply. I would go ahead and apply, and in the time it's going to take to underwrite the loan, you can make a decision whether you want to accept a loan or not. It doesn't hurt to apply. If you apply now and an amount is offered to you, which I do want to note, you're not able to request a specific amount. They're going to look at your revenue from last year to determine what they'll offer you. And if, in a month, 2 months, 3 months, you understand that you need more money because you were closed longer than anticipated, the disaster lasted longer than anticipated, you can go back and request an increase. So that is an option for you once you have a loan in place. If your loan application is denied, especially for a credit history issue or something that they've clearly outlined for you, you have up to 6 months to provide whatever information it is that they need or correct, and you could submit a written request for reconsideration. This mostly comes into play especially when you have a credit history issue that may be able to be corrected. Okay, so that sums up our economic injury disaster loans. That is a very simple process, pretty easy to understand what you can use those funds for. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the Paycheck Protection Program. I want to be really clear that we don't facilitate these loans. These aren't direct from the SBA. They are direct from banks, and I certainly don't want to provide information on their behalfs. We do work with a lot of our local banks and understand at least partially what they're doing, and I want to share that, but know that we don't have a lot of answers to these because they are done through our financial institutions. But this program is a loan that is designed to provide a direct incentive for you as a small business to keep your workers on payroll. So basically to reduce the amount of unemployment claims and to keep folks working. That's what this specific loan is for. Again, these are not direct loans from the SBA, which is different than the economic injury disaster loan. So they're not direct. The US Treasury gives money to the banks and the bank gives money to the small businesses. The SBA is providing 100% loan guarantee to lenders. So it's a pretty safe loan for the lenders to do. And that's why you'll see, we'll talk about the what's required for these, and no collateral is required. And the terms of this are a little bit more lenient because the SBA is providing that guarantee. I do want to ask you to be super appreciative of your banks, because although they're not charging fees for these loans, it does cost them to service these loans and to do the application and the whole process. So we're very thankful that they're taking that on at their cost. Existing SBA lenders can offer this loan, and new lenders are being added every day. So lenders can continue to apply to be what's called an express SBA lender, which is a short-term being able to provide this specific type of loan. And what we recommend is for you to go directly to the bank that you already do business with to find out if they're offering the Paycheck Protection Program. Most of them have their websites updated. If yours does not have anything on their website about it, just give someone a call and ask if they're providing this program. You do have to have a business checking account with whichever institution you take this loan from. So it's just much easier to go with a bank that you already have a relationship with. They feel more comfortable with you, and you've shown that you already have a deposit history with them. Again, the lenders are not going to charge you loan fees for these. So eligible entities for the Paycheck Protection Program: any small business, again, under 500 employees, nonprofits of any size, veterans organizations, and tribal concerns can apply. As of today, April 10th, sole proprietors and self-employed individuals, as well as independent contractors, can also apply. We're so excited that this is opening up today, because we know a lot of our small businesses are sole proprietors or consider themselves self-employed. Again, small businesses must have under 500 employees to meet the requirements for the SBA. So let's talk about the good stuff. The loan amount for these can be up to $10 million. And the way that this is calculated, and this is really important to understand, is you reflect on 2 months of your average monthly payroll costs from the last year, or at least the last 12 months, plus an additional 25%. So the way that you would calculate this is take your payroll cost. You have to exclude taxes. You can't use federal money to pay federal taxes or state taxes. So there are things that you have to reduce, and I can tell you where you can go find that list. They also will only cover up to $100,000 of someone's salary. So if you have employees that make more than that, you have to deduct that amount that's over $100,000 from this calculation. But you take that for the last 12 months, divide it by 12 so you get your average monthly payroll, and then multiply that by 2.5. And that is going to be the amount of your loan. And we know that many businesses have very particular circumstances where that calculation needs to be done differently. For example, if you're seasonal, and we can help you through that process, as can your bank. The interest rates on these loans is 1%. And here's the cool part that everyone's really excited about is there is loan forgiveness available. If you use 75% or more of your loan amount to cover payroll expenses and your staff levels are maintained for 8 weeks once the money gets in your hands, so once the loan's originated and the money's deposited, you have 8 weeks. And if 75% or more of the loan is used to cover payroll expenses and the staff levels remain, that loan portion will be forgiven, which could be in its entirety. Again, there are no loan fees, and the way that these loans should be used is to cover payroll cost, including benefits for your employees. You can also use that last 25% for interest on mortgage, any rent that you pay, and your utilities. And this can be incredibly helpful to some of our labor small businesses. For collateral, none is required, and you don't have to give a personal guarantee. This is so abnormal, so we're excited about that. There's no personal guarantee needed. If you have a remaining amount of the loan that you did not use after the 8 weeks, or you used it for something other than what it is supposed to be used for, that will turn into a loan that matures in 2 years at that rate of 1%. Okay, so that's not a bad thing. Don't get stressed about that. We can help you with calculations to ensure that you maximize what you need to use. But nonetheless, it's only 1. And if you have money that you didn't use, you can pay it back immediately. You don't have to take it to the 2-year maturity. Your first payment isn't required for 6 months. So you've got that 6-month delay in the payment of a loan if any of the amount turns into that loan. There is no prepayment penalty. So at the end of 8 weeks, if you have money left from that, you can go ahead and prepay it so that you don't have to worry about the loan portion. And one key thing to note, if this applies to you, is hotels and restaurants in this instance don't have revenue caps. That's really important because typically you do. But they can't have any more than 500 employees at any one location. Even if with all their locations they have more than 500, it's going to be per location. Okay, so how do you apply for these? You can apply through any existing SBA lender or anyone that's federally insured to do deposits, credit unions, farm credit systems, and there's other institutes participating. You can do a search for SBA lenders at the site that I have listed here, sba.gov/paycheck protection/find. I know that they're trying to keep that updated as quickly as possible, but again, check the website from the bank that you currently do business with first, and try to create the loan with them. And if they're not offering them or they've stopped offering them, you can use this lender finder to find them. And again, we do keep in touch with many of our local banks. If you're really having trouble finding someone, reach out to us. And in some cases, we can point you in the right direction. Other regulated lenders are going to be able to make these loans once they have enrolled and been approved in the program. And the exciting part of this is going to include folks like QuickBooks. Okay, so if you have, for example, a payroll program with QuickBooks, you pay the more advanced QuickBooks option, they're going to be able to offer the loans, as well as companies like PayPal and Stripe. That is not in effect, or at least it wasn't a couple of hours ago yet, but we are looking forward to when that happens, because it'll be a great opportunity for folks who don't currently bank with someone offering these loans to get a loan. And we think they're going to be a great resource. Just to note that all of these loans are on the same terms. It does not matter what lender you go to or what business you have. It's all the same terms across the board, government regulated. Okay, so that wraps up the Paycheck Protection Program, and it's a lot and it's nuanced, and we know there's just so many different unique circumstances out there, but we wanted to give you the basics of it so you could understand what the loan's for and how to calculate it. We have developed at the Small Business Development Center a ton of resources for you, and we call it our one-stop shop. And it's a page that you can find. It's really a knowledge base with every category you could imagine and lots of articles and PDFs. We've really curated the best of the best. We add to it daily. So I'd love for you to check it out and continue to kind of look back that. To be honest, myself and my advisors and a lot of our community members use it as our own knowledge base when we're helping small businesses like yourself. So it's a great resource tool. And you can find that on our website at roanokesmallbusiness.org/COVID-19. And that's going to be our main page of resources. You can schedule a one-on-one session with us from that page. You can access this one-stop shop. We also have Zoom sessions going on pretty regularly that you can sign up for. So make sure to check that out. Tons of great resources as well as links direct to the applications for some of the loans that we've talked about today. On our website, we also have a disaster hotline chat. So it's a live chat right on our website. Go to any page and it's going to be in the lower right-hand corner. You can't miss it. It'll be obvious. And you can chat with us if you just have quick questions that we can answer. If it's something more in depth, we'll schedule an appointment with you to spend a good hour looking over your stuff. But if it's a quick question, we'd love to chat with you there. We do, between 75 and 100 chats a day. I'm not live on there right now because I'm with you, but we do try to be alive as much as we can. And if we're not live, you can leave us a message and we'll get back with you very quickly. So utilize that resource for yourself. Again, if you have a unique situation that you'd really like to sit down and understand this more clearly, around your specific instances, we offer the one-on-one sessions and you can schedule those from our website. You can typically get an appointment within a day or two. And so make sure to take advantage of that if you need it. The curated knowledge base we talked about is called our one-stop shop. And then we have some quick links that you might find valuable on the website as well. So make sure to check those out. And I am ready for questions. I'll take whatever questions you have and answer them to the best of my ability. And if I don't have an answer for you, I'll either get you the right resource or we're going to make note of those questions and we'll make sure that we get answers back on those later today.
All right, let me go to the questions and I'll read off the questions that we've been asked. The first one, which we've gotten actually a lot, is if applying for the loans, how long should it take to hear something back? We've had a couple people who have applied and have either received a confirmation number or have updated their application and they're waiting on that response.
Yeah, what a great question. And I'm really frustrated that I don't have an answer for you. Here's what I do know. The economic injury disaster loans, the EIDLs, the EIDLs, those are going to take longer to process. The loan advance that's in the beginning of that should happen quickly. I will tell you though, out of all of the clients, and I mean thousands of small businesses we've worked with in the last couple of weeks, we have not heard from a single one that they have a loan offer yet or that they have the loan advance. So we know that it's at least taking 2 weeks. I hope that they're able to speed that process up. Obviously, no one has the resources to deal with this. And I know that they're doing the best they can, but it's frustrating. But hang in there. Your application, it's not lost. If you have a confirmation number, you're good. And you will hear about the loan advance first. And it will take 3 to 4 weeks to have a loan decision. You should get a call before then or an email asking you for additional documentation. And that has happened with some of our very early applicants. We know that. But it will take 3 or 4 weeks to get a loan decision because these are typical loans and have to go through the normal underwriting process. But the loan advance should come your way much faster. On the Paycheck Protection Program, it really depends on what your bank's process is. They are quick turnaround loans, but it could take several days to review your information. You have to submit and prove your payroll. You can't just say what it is. You have to provide reports. The bank has to feel confident that it's accurate information. And this can get complicated if you pay a lot of taxes and do a lot of different things with your payroll. To get those reports right can take some time. It could take up to a week. But once the bank approves and feels comfortable with your information, and you've submitted the additional documents that they've requested, you should hear back very quickly, like within a few days. I do have clients that already have money in their hands. They're typically people who were in a queue very early on that already had loans with the bank and had great relationships, and it was easy for them to reach out and get all their information straight in the beginning. But again, we do expect the Paycheck Protection Program to be a very quick process when you talk about loans.
All right. And the next question from Annette is, can you apply for the EIDL and the PPP?
Great question. You can apply for both loans. And our understanding is, or we know, I shouldn't say just our understanding, you cannot use both loans for the same thing. So you notice that the EIDL, as well as the Paycheck Protection Program, allowed you to use the funds for payroll. If you take a Paycheck Protection Program loan to cover your payroll costs, you cannot use the EIDL for the same thing, right? That's double dipping. So you can't do that. But how you could use both loans, let's say you get the Paycheck Protection Program and it covers most of your salary expenses. But we have many small businesses that might have hired 2 or 3 people at the end of February or the 1st of March before all this happened. And those numbers aren't included in the calculations. And so when they get their loan, it's not enough to fully cover all the folks that they want to bring back to work or to keep working. So they can use the EIDL to cover additional expenses that aren't reported for the Paycheck Protection Program, as well as the EIDL can cover any type of loan payments, credit payments, other utilities and expenses that you have during the month, maybe software expenses, just day-to-day expenses that you're unable to cover right now. So different uses for the loans, but you can apply for both.
All right, let's see. The next question is from Beverly, and she says, I have not filed my income taxes for last year yet. Is this a factor in applying for the $10,000 advance? And it's part of the EIDL.
It is not. You might have a little bit harder time pulling your information together. You still have to have the information that you would have to have for your tax return. And so, make whatever you do to typically prepare for your taxes, you're going to need to do that anyway for any type of loan to get those records straight. But it is okay that you haven't specifically filed. We know that those filing dates have been pushed back. And so you don't have to have filed, but it will be based on that information that you'll have to show documentation for. So just be prepared to do that.
All right, next question. See, is from Malcolm, and it's, who determines if the loan is forgivable and when is that decision made for both the EIDL and PPP?
Great question. For the EIDL, that loan is not forgiven. I want to make that super, super clear. It's a loan straight up, just like you'd go anytime else to the SBA and get a loan. It's a loan, 3.75% interest for small businesses and 2.7% for nonprofits. However, there is an advance on that can be forgiven. And that calculation, as we know it today, is $1,000 per FTE up to 10 full-time employees. Okay, so it's up to $10,000. And we can't promise that you're going to get that or that you'll get that calculation. That's our understanding. And if you are approved for the loan advance, you won't have to repay that portion. But if you take the loan, that is a loan that's to be repaid. On the Paycheck Protection Program, that is the loan that is mostly forgiven if it's used in the way that's presented to get the loan, which means 75% of the funds or more are used for payroll expenses. You maintain the same number of employees that you report on your application from the time period that you calculated, and or use the remaining 25% for mortgage, interest, rent, and utilities. If you do that for 8 weeks once the money is in your hand, then that portion should be forgiven. I am not clear on what the bank's process will be for that. To be super honest, I'm not sure that they're clear either, meaning they haven't been able to put systems in place for that. They're trying to get this money in people's hands first. But you will have to turn in proof of payroll and your expenses. So keep all your receipts. Understand, if you don't use QuickBooks or don't have an accountant that does this for you, it's going to be a critical time to keep everything, because you will have to prove the expenditure on the back end in whatever way your bank sets up the process for. And that could just be different, because it's just a process that has to happen, and each bank will have their own process for that.
All right, another question from Beverly is, per the governor, their business was shut down because they have face-to-face with clients. Would they be eligible for PPP?
So there's a couple ways that you would be eligible for PPP. One is you're probably paying yourself still, maybe, or you'd like to pay yourself for doing whatever you're doing on the back end, whether it's social media or just working on the business, or no matter if you're closed or not, you're thinking about the business 24/7. So you can apply for the Paycheck Protection Program for your own salary, or let's say a husband and wife own a business, it could be for their salaries. You can use it for that. You can also put a lot of our small businesses are putting employees to work, maybe not bringing them in-house, but they're working from home and they're working on special projects, or they're preparing for the late summer season or fall, whatever things they may have going on. They might be redoing their website, whatever tasks that they feel like they can do during this time to keep their employees employed. You could use it as an opportunity to do that. And if anybody wanted or needed to brainstorm that, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be glad to kind of walk through the different scenarios and see if it's worth doing the loan for, and what that would mean for you and your business, because it is specific, to what your payroll costs were last year.
All right. And another question from Lisa is, can the PPP be used for part-time employees and be forgiven?
Oh, great question. I would like to get back to you on that. There has been question about that, and this morning I have not seen the firm answer, meaning from the SBA. So if we could just jot that question down and who asked it, and we will make sure that we get you a very firm answer today on that. That's something that's been questionable with the banks, meaning some banks are saying yes and some are saying no, but there is a firm answer. The SBA, directs all of this, and we're trying to understand and figure out what that is. So I'll make sure that you get that today.
All right, Lisa, if you could chat down at the bottom of your screen your email, just so we have that. That way we can get that information to you. Next question. Let's see. Alan has said the PPP is available to nonprofits that are 501c3 organizations, but not 501c6 nonprofits, correct?
That is correct. Yes, those, you could be someone like us, you could be a chamber. There's lots of different entities and organizations that have business concerns that are C6s, and they are not eligible to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program.
And somebody asked if we could share that information from the previous question with everyone, so we can do that as well.
Yeah.
Let's see, next question. From Beverly, is there any reason why someone would not want to do the PPP loan?
Great question. I like for businesses to take out loans. I believe in cash flow is king, and so loans are great. As a personal opinion, so there's only been one out of thousands we've worked with that it wasn't the right decision, and typically it's because your payroll expenses, you have had to let everyone go. Perhaps they're doing better on unemployment than you could pay them. Perhaps you have no work for them to do, or it's just kind of silly to try to manage, 20 people to do nothing. And in those cases, it may make more sense for everyone to be on unemployment. It's rare that that's a better option, but it could be, because it doesn't matter how many people are working now, it's based on the last 12 months. So let's say your loan amount, your average payroll times 2.5 is $10,000 for those 8 weeks, so $5,000 a month. And maybe, out of that, as the owner, maybe you're only bringing in $2,000 a month. And so you're going to have additional money at the end that's going to have to be paid back, which you could do. And the part that you paid yourself would be forgiven as it relates to the payroll that you turned in. But in some cases, it's just not needed or enough. But for the most part, if you can get access to the Paycheck Protection Program, it's a good opportunity.
All right. Question from Melanie. Do you know what local banks have done approvals for the PPP loans?
Yes. I wouldn't be able to name them all. I mean, all of the banks that offer them, if you, we can go back in the presentation here so you have that list. Let's see, where is that link? Nope. Here we go, sba.gov/paycheck protection/find. All of the banks in our area that are offering them, there's too many to mention. I would not do them service if I tried to, have approved applications. There are many banks out there that are no longer taking applications, and it's not to hurt small businesses, it's just they have a specific amount that they can lend and give, and they're trying to manage that and don't have the resources to process it or the funds available to give out. So each bank has to make that decision when they stop applications. It doesn't mean that they've always stopped. These loans are available through the end of June. And in many cases, companies should wait. So in an example where you don't have anything for your employees to do right now, but you're going to partially start to reopen, let's say in June, it may be better to wait to apply for the loan in that case. So don't get fearful about people stopping having taken applications, but there are several banks in the area that are still taking applications. Ideally, it's someone that you already have a business relationship with. But I do know the Paycheck Protection Find on the SBA website was up to date as of this morning and very accurate.
All right. Let's see. And while I'm going to look for the next question, Amanda, I've sent a couple your way that were a little bit more in detail.
Okay, great.
And while you're reading those over, Chris says, wonderful. Thank you, Amanda, for presenting this information. So
thank you. We're happy to be here. We always joke we're learning all this together, including the SBA and including the banks. We're all in this together. One question here is, do I have any information about the sick leave pay that's going to be paid back through payroll taxes? I do have information on that, not well enough to talk to without a presentation in front of me. But if you contact us, we can certainly get you that information, and we are going to be doing Zoom, what we call Zoom sessions rather than webinars in the coming 2 weeks to clarify some of that for folks. So watch out for those as well. We have been inundated with the lending, and kind of next on our list is this paid sick leave. The other question here is, can you confirm how to calculate the loan? Really asking about what needs to be deducted from that. I do have a list of things that need to be deducted. It's several things, and I'd be glad to get that out with another question that we have to answer, and along with some of the information we're sending you today. So I'll make note of that and make sure that you guys get that list. For a lot of people, it doesn't apply, so we don't have it in our presentation. It's pretty unique circumstances.
All right, well, I have a couple more questions on this end. From Denise, can you use the PPP loan to pay contractors that regularly work for you?
You cannot. If they're 1099 contractors, they can apply for a PPP themselves, but you cannot include them in your payroll costs because 1099 contractors are not considered payroll.
All right, a question from Joy. What if your business has mainly part-time employees? How does that affect a business applying for PPP?
Yeah. So I will get confirmation for you guys. I did want to go back to that because I don't think I was very clear in the beginning. Our understanding is all of that's fine. It doesn't matter full-time, part-time. It's based on your payroll expenses from last year or the last 12 months. It doesn't have to be last year. You know, so if you made hires in January, you could include January in your numbers and use 12 months of figures for that calculation. And so to my knowledge, it doesn't impact in any way, but I do there's been some questions over the last couple days. And so I just want to absolutely confirm that. And to give you guys an example, this week alone, we've answered 6,218 emails and had almost 10,000 incoming emails of not from our small businesses, but like information being shared with us. So it's a lot for us to go through, and I just want to make sure that you guys get the most accurate information. But my understanding is it doesn't matter how many hours they're working, it's based on your payroll expenses.
All right, the next question is from Jan. She says, you say potentially wait to apply for a loan, but isn't there only a finite amount of money available? If you wait, will that money not be able to get to you?
I don't have an answer for that. I do know there is a finite amount of money, but I also know that, you know, there are a set of individuals who have their eye on that and the projections and are fighting very hard for additional money to be made available. What I don't want you to do is go out and get money that you can't use or don't need. It's not only a waste of your time, but it, you know, clogs up resources that could be utilized for folks who could be working right now. So if you don't need the loan or can't use it at this point, certainly wait. And I wouldn't be fearful about there not being enough money. And I know that that's the media message out there right now, and it's frustrating, and some banks have stopped taking applications, but it's not a matter of not having this stuff available. It's widely available. It's more a matter of resources to get it to you. So I'd rather you wait it than try to take a loan that you don't need right now.
All right, and a question from Bill is, will everyone qualify for the $10,000 advance? And then if you could say how to make an appointment again with you all, he was interested in that.
Absolutely. Repeat the first part of that again.
Will everyone qualify for the $10,000 advance?
Gotcha. Okay. So for the first part, I want to make it really clear it's not $10,000. It's up to $10,000. And the way that we understand that's being calculated is $1,000 per full-time employee. So this is where your part-time employees, you know, is it included in that? And I don't know if they do 2 part-time employees as 1, I'm not sure. But there's a lot of miscommunication that everyone's going to get $10,000, and that's just not the case. you're just eligible for up to $1,000 per full-time employee that you have. And in many small business cases, that's going to be a full $10,000. And I don't know anyone that's received that yet. It only has been available for 2 weeks, and I haven't heard, we don't know of anyone that's heard back, so I don't have a clear answer on that. But our understanding is that you apply, and if you meet all the eligibility requirements, that there will be some sort of advance available to you that's forgiven. If you want to make an appointment with us, again, if you just have kind of quick questions like you're asking today, you can join us on our chat. That's the best way to work with us over that quick stuff. But we also have, we still have openings for next week for you to schedule one-on-one time with us, and you can do that directly from our website. I'll put that back up here. It's roanokesmallbusiness.org/COVID-19. We just scroll down a little ways, you'll see them, remote advising sessions, and there's a calendar right there that you can make your appointment right there on our webpage.
All right, and let's see, some other questions coming in. For the disaster loan, and this is from Alan, what is the definition of full-time employee? One can be a full-time employee at less than 40 hours per week.
Yes, if you have them registered with the Employment Commission as a full-time employee, and that's how they're categorized with you as a business, then that counts as a full-time employee. I always tell people to think about this as they're very black and white questions because there's a process behind it. So if your business is registered in Virginia, then you are a business in Virginia. If your employees are registered with the Virginia Employment Commission as full-time employees, they're full-time employees, whatever definition that is set for you. It's typically 36 hours or more, but I don't want to step on the Virginia Employment Commission's toes there. That's not my area of expertise.
All right, and I've sent a couple questions to that, a little bit more detail as well. I know we're getting close to the end, so.
Here's one. How would self-employed payroll be calculated if there are no employees except the business owner? If you paid yourself last year, you would take all of that payroll that you would, let's use that black and white example again. Whatever you would file for your taxes as your income for 2019, you'd use the average month of that. So take the whole year, divide it by 12 times 2.5, and that would be your PPP loan amount. It doesn't matter, if you're the business owner or not, that's how it's calculated. So it's based on what you would report in your taxes for income.
See. All right, well, since we only have 2 minutes left till 12, I think any other questions you might have, you can direct it, just like Amanda said, either to their chat, or if you need to schedule an appointment with them online, the URL is up there still. And I want to thank everybody for coming today and joining our webinar. We appreciate it greatly. Let's see, I'll come back. There we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for attending the webinar today. And for more information regarding, let's see if I can share my screen now. Let's see. Sharing. I can go back down to, All right, well, thank you so much, everyone. And if you have any other questions regarding the COVID-19 health crisis, you can go to westernva.bbb.org/COVID-19 business. Thank you all so much and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Amanda, for being here and for being
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I look forward to hearing from everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll send an email out answering questions you guys might have had for more information, and also with a link to the recording and the slide deck. So thank you.
Thanks.
Everyone.